Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another exciting episode of the Transform Your Confidence Show. You know that I love hanging out with you each and every week and sharing insights from my guests who hail from all walks of life, experience, and expertise. I also really love the time that we spend together to learn, action, and hold space for accountability each week by tuning in to insights, tips, and resources from behind the velvet rope, where today's leaders, movers and shakers, and disruptors share their nuggets of wisdom and hopefully help you get to the same place much faster than it took them to get to, because that's the goal of the show, guys. We continue this week with media and communications as the theme, and our part 2 of a 2-part series called Today's Most Effective Social Media Strategies That Work for Businesses. My guest is corporate social media trainer and online personal brand strategist, Cher Jones, who is the founder of Socially Active Training, where she leverages over 20 years of PR, marketing, and broadcasting experience to help professionals, leaders, and consultants develop a credible and strategic online presence while teaching them how to use social media at work for work. Cher is also the host of a weekly LinkedIn live stream show called #JustAskScher Live, where she offers tips and advice to help you develop a powerful and professional brand online. Here's what to expect in part 2 of our conversation. We break down why social media strategy is considered unrivaled when it comes to business communications, what the top 3 uses are for incorporating social media into marketing strategy, how to use social media for organic branding and marketing, what the differences are when using social media at different stages of your business, whether you're selling products or services, or whether you're a for-profit or a not-for-profit enterprise, and how to hire the right social media expert for your needs. Please welcome Cher Jones. For those people that haven't kind of really looked at social media from a business perspective, let's kind of break down a few of the things for them to kind of think about and maybe sit with. What are some of the ways that business enterprises incorporate social media for some of the following things? So let me list a few of those for you, Cher.
Okay.
First of all, let's talk about the one that, you are a expert in, branding.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Tell us about that piece. Is it a visual thing? Is it a is it how you speak? Like, what is it about the branding piece on social media that people that are using it for business need to know?
Okay. So at the individual level, and that's really where my expertise is how you show up, how you talk about yourself, but making sure there's a consistent and cohesive brand that is strategic. It doesn't have to be perfectly polished and perfected, because we don't trust that anymore. Right. We want to see some real. We connect with the real. We want to feel like that person is accessible. But at the end of the day, when you're thinking about your brand and how it shows up, one, you got to figure out what's your money network, so that you are spending a majority of your time on that network. You can decide that you want to be on 5 networks, but what happens when you do that is you spread yourself too thin, and the real Cher won't show up because I'm just spread too thin and I'm just basically responding at a surface level. So when you can go in and dive in and connect with the people in your money network, whatever network that makes sense for you as far as the best opportunities and the best conversion on those opportunities. But at the end of the day, even though my money network is on LinkedIn, I know that from a cohesive brand perspective, when you check me out on Facebook, when you check me out on Instagram or Twitter or anywhere else, you see that I am the same person, maybe a slightly different angle, different viewpoint. But I could talk to any of those pieces of, like, if you said, oh, I saw you posted this on Instagram, or I saw this on TikTok, or I saw this wherever, and I could talk to it and I wouldn't be embarrassed. Or you add in the other personal level of dating. So for example, if you're on Bumble or Tinder or wherever you are, that's a part of your brand that comes with you, like it or not. So you just have to have that cohesive look and feel where one brand doesn't embarrass the other. So you are authentic to who you are and your audience, but it's just another viewpoint to the person that shows up in front of them.
Absolutely. And I guess that kind of translates over also where you are using social media to promote something.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk a little bit about that because, you know, traditional advertising, billboards, what have you, ads, they're always static unless they were on TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're
Mm-hmm.
always, like you said, you know, like traditional TV, traditional advertising is very produced. But
Mm-hmm.
now when you're looking at marketing and promoting in social media, what do people need to know?
I think it's about looking at the entire story of what it is you're trying to market and promote. So it's not just the end product, because we still come up with well produced, like if you have a course, or if you have a book coming out, if you're speaking or whatever, your subject matter expert, there's going to be produced, awesomely produced, quality stuff that speaks to the full brand experience. And so they're still necessary. This is not me saying it's like, rustic or die, like as far as, natural social media. But what you can do is, in addition to those pieces that play a part in the role, even if you're launching a webinar, whatever, you have to look at social media, use it to tell the story of what it is you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So don't wait, because what people do is like, they never share the behind the scenes, and they just post their, oh, I'm ready to launch. I have all of my creative together. Let's go. It's like, no, the beauty of social media is telling the story. So all of this creative that you have and you've invested into, now people are invested into the story. Like even telling the story, I'm working with these designers today. It's frustrating or it's awesome. And I have these two things, tell me, what do you think? And then, so like now people want to hear the final and want to see the final product. Right. And also if you're strategic about it, this is where the strategy, don't just, post it. Like think about ways that you can organically, as much as possible, talk about the value that you are delivering and what you promise, and educate people on those you help, and you don't have to do it all in one foul swoop. Like you have these little micro opportunities to constantly stay visible.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, we talked about before that credibility plus visibility equals opportunity. And you miss out on opportunities because people don't remember you. Right? They may not remember you at launch time, but tell the story.
And that's interesting, because now you bring me to a point around the idea of engagement. Like, how is engagement strategy on social media different in the professional arena versus personal?
It's not, other than, okay. I don't think it is. I think if you're authentically you, and if you're recognizing, we always have to be safe at the end of the day. So when I mean safe, especially in the professional environment, you really got to be safe in how you show up, right? Like there are certain things that if you wouldn't say it at a network event, don't post it in your professional environment. But at the same time, if you are comfortable enough posting it on a YouTube comment or as a tweet or in Facebook or wherever, you better be comfortable enough that if someone say, hey, I saw that thing that you posted on Instagram, or that comment, you need to be able to own it. But no, you also have to recognize the platform you're using at the time. So engagement matters at the end of the day, because engagement is what makes the algorithm go. Mm-hmm. Right. So this is really important. I think as people leverage social media, they still treat it like advertising, as if they're renting space they didn't pay for. Right. So they post this up and they assume that everybody's going to see it. And that's not the case at all. Mm-hmm. People see it because the algorithm shows it to them. The algorithm works based off of analyzing who you engage with and what type of content you engage with, what type of, like, who are you responding to, whose stuff are you liking, because what it's looking for are relationships. And the algorithm's job is to keep you on the network. So if the algorithm shows you a bunch of people's stuff that you couldn't care less about, you're less likely to stay on that network. But it's
Mhm.
constantly analyzing the type of content you like, the type of people that you connect with, and it's going to show you more of that. So if you're not connecting or liking with the people that liking or DMing the people that you want to do business with, you will lose your visibility with them. And
Right.
then they forget you.
Yeah. And that's another key thing that I think that people need to understand as well. Because, you'll see people that get so many comments and so much stuff, and people think it's because, they think it's because they are paying for lots of advertising, which is also a piece of the,
Oh, absolutely. It's a strategy.
it is, and it's important if you've got the budget to go there. But a lot of what Cher is talking about here are things that don't cost money, guys. And here's the advantage of understanding social media strategy. So let me ask you this, Cher. What are some of the trends that you're seeing emerging in social media right now that are kind of aligned more with business use? Is there anything you can share?
So there's a lot more. I mean, there's a lot more of this. So the accessibility to create podcasts has blown up, and video interview shows. So this is huge, but this is an opportunity because the cream will always rise to the crop. Rise to the top, right? So
Right.
if it's good, it's good. If you're delivering value, and especially like look at the amount of time that you personally put in to working with the guests that you invite. Like you research them, you spend your time, like you guys, everybody watching and listening. If you could see the notes that I got, the show notes, just to prep for this, it was amazing. And like the amount of work that goes into to producing something like this and ensuring that at the end of the day, the value is for your audience. And that is why, Raj, you have been investing in this, because you are trying to deliver and you're succeeding at it, but delivering value to your audience.
Thank you.
So you're welcome, but it's just the truth. Like you put the work in so that your audience can benefit, so you can serve your audience and build that trust so that they know that whatever you put out there, they can trust the quality is going to be awesome, right? But so where I see the opportunity right now is for subject matter experts, for people who want that visibility in their space, to look for the players like yourself who are creating content and build relationship with them. Because
Mhm.
chances are, if you are well branded and you start to comment and show up on their social, and they take a look at who you are and what you bring to the table, you may get the invite before you even have to ask.
Right.
Right. And I just think it's just a huge, I call it OPP, other people's platforms. And you got to get down with OPP. Yeah, you know me. What you do.
I love that. Well,
Mhm.
that dates the both of us,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let me ask you a few common questions that, I
Mhm.
find a lot of my clients, kind of get lost in, and, I want to bring it to you.
Mhm.
And is there a difference between how to use social media in different sizes of businesses? Because, this whole kind of imposter syndrome that you slightly
Mhm.
touched upon a little earlier, the smaller kind of solopreneurs versus like these big kind of, you know, for want of a better way of describing them, the big global multinationals.
Mhm.
Um, can you kind of share some insights around that? Because a lot of people get intimidated going on the same platforms as these big multinationals,
Mhm.
thinking I'm just like that one person.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts around that? Is there a difference
I
in
think there's an
using it?
advantage.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think there's a huge advantage. One, you can churn out content faster than they can, but what you're probably doing is comparing your production value to their production budget, right? So,
Right.
right? And it's not fair. But if you focus, and this is what it comes back down to, focus on serving your audience, focus on delivering value to your audience at every level. Doesn't matter whether you are, you have $1 million production budget to do what you need to do, marketing budget, whatever, or you got a $10 budget, right? It doesn't matter. If you focus on value, focus on delivering what you need to deliver. That is hands down across the board. And I feel that most major, especially at corporate level, they put out value. Don't get me wrong, but they can't churn it out fast enough because it costs too much.
Right.
Where we are nimble enough that it's about just focus on your audience. Don't focus on Don't focus on anything else. It will come. And this stuff takes time. They can buy access through ads, and ad strategy is a phenomenal strategy and should be part of a more mature social presence as far as from a branding perspective and reach perspective. But in the beginning, just put out content in your sweet spot. So in your zone of genius, whether you like to get up and speak, or whether you like to create videos, because this is probably the easiest way. If you're comfortable enough having a conversation about your zone of genius, and if you're just there with the heart of doing value, like delivering value, this is probably the best thing. But again, maybe you're a writer and you can write blog posts, and then, or you like doing video, whatever it is, you do that base one, and then you remix it into multiple pieces of content. And then you build the relationships under the comments. You build the relationships in the news feed. And trust me, do not be intimidated by the big budget people. They're probably serving a different audience than you are too. Right. So you got to focus on your audience and don't look at what somebody else is doing. Even the more established solopreneur who looks like their branding is all together and they've invested so much. You got to creep before you crawl.
Yeah.
Just keep on plugging away and keep on building your content assets. You can also, as you build them, you can redo them. So if you've written something and then 2 years down the road, you've made it evergreen, or if you've updated, you can reshoot it with a new budget.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This stuff don't go to waste. It does not go to waste.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I think you kind of have answered this question, but in case you have anything else to add, I want to ask you, what about companies whose consumer base, and again, this could be anything from solopreneur upwards, where your consumer base is regional, national versus international in scope? Like, is there a difference in terms of the use of social media? I mean, obviously in the use of ads and all of that, it's a whole different ball game, but just from an organic marketing perspective with the use of social media, is there a different strategy in your mind to think about if your consumer base is in different pockets?
Yes. You have to make sure that they feel like you're for them. So, especially from a geo-specific area, that you're like, I target this geo-specific area, and I need to make sure that my customers know. So I'm not trying to build, and that's where a lot of entrepreneurs go wrong. They try to build this global audience, but yet they can only serve people locally. And it's not to say that that global audience can't contribute, but they're not paying customers. If you don't have a strategy to serve them, right? Or if there's not a bigger picture strategy where it's like, eventually I'll write a book, or eventually I want to do speaking, so there's value for that audience. You need to go local. You need to go local in your follower acquisition. And what I mean, that sounds so technical, but how you're going out to find followers. So if it's geo-specific to a region or a town, for example, it's like, you need to go, who are the other social players in your town that are doing well? Who are the influencers that you can feature, give some of your product to, or give them your service or whatnot, where you can co-create or collaborate content with, or maybe pay them for access to them, and maybe create a collaboration deal. Who knows? But you have to think local so that you're building the trust of the audience who can actually pay you. Don't think large numbers. Think the more local you can get, the better.
Oh, I love that strategy. It just really it's almost like you can feel the pressure coming off of your shoulders when you don't need to try and compete with people who seem to be so massively global. Because at the end of the day, if you are a business, your purpose is, how many people can you serve? I mean, that's what it comes down to, right?
Exactly. So it's like, just exactly what you said, Raj. How many people can you serve? Do you need to get 10,000 followers this year if you can only serve 20 clients this year?
I mean, yes, you're right.
Right?
When you put it like that.
Seriously, I would rather have 500 diehard, ideal, just share clients that are just like, these are the people, and I'll probably serve like maybe 25 to 50 of them in the year, and I'm good with that. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
and so if I have that 500 deep network of people who are referring me. They generally enjoy and consume my content. That's where you need to focus on those people. You don't need Kim Kardashian's followers because they ain't buying your stuff anyway.
Absolutely. So you just brought something to the table here that I'm now going to ask you is, is there a different strategy that you suggest from a social media perspective when it comes to selling a product versus a service? You just talked about Kim Kardashian, so that's product all the way home. But product versus services, is there anything social media wise a person should think about that could potentially differentiate your strategy? Or do you feel it's kind of just a lot of the same of what we've just been talking about? What are your thoughts?
I think there's always different paths, but at the end of the day, there's still fundamentals that matter regardless. Is like, is there a clear path to doing business with you? Are you asking for the business? I mean, with products, there's more of a demonstration. So it's more of a visual approach to that and that education around the product. But then with the service, it's educating them around the service, why they need it. What are the issues that are the underlying issues that this service can solve? What are the troubleshooting issues? Or then if it's a product, how does it work? What are the different applications for it? Who has used it? So it's literally the same stuff. It's being able to create this content quick enough that you are satiating that appetite of the researcher, right? And staying in touch with the network that you're building.
Absolutely.
So it's at the end of the day, we just want to know how something works or understand what something is.
And, and a lot of the business that we've been talking about has been more commercial. It's been about for-profit industry. So is there a difference if you are a not-for-profit, like if you're a non-for-profit organization, association, initiative, is there something they need to know that maybe is a little different from the for-profit? Or do you feel that the social media strategies in and by themselves are very usable for non-for-profit because you are still selling?
Yes, you're absolutely selling.
So talk to me about that. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Okay. So you're absolutely selling, but you're selling transformation. You're selling the process and you're selling the problem because you're selling the problem so that you can then position yourself as part of the solution and why you need support. So you have to sell the problem. You have to build, and selling sounds so weird to say it, but you're educating people. Let's say that sounds better, but at the end of the day, you're still selling a problem.
Yes, of
course.
You're
still it just sounds so real when you say it like that, but we'll say it the nice way. You're educating people about the issue, right? You're letting people know that this is a problem and this is the impact of that problem if left untouched. And then you are then selling, well, here are the results that we've achieved so far. This is the process. So all of this can also be related at the end of the day to whether it's an individual, whether it's a business, whether it's a nonprofit. It's telling those stories. I think it comes down to stories of impact, right? However you are impacting, whatever your products are impacting, because your product can impact productivity, happiness, whatever. Like at the end of the day, it's showcasing that impact and then showing different use cases for it. Also showing the people behind the product. So people in the development team, if it's a product, if it's a nonprofit, show the people on the board and why they're so passionate about this. Show the leadership, show transformative cases where they are now a part of the solution, it's not just like they were a benefactor, but now there's always in nonprofits, you'll always find those stories of I was a client and now I'm the president kind of thing. So it's just like, there's just different opportunities. It's going back to telling the story and separating the concept of marketing and advertising from content. Yes, there's content marketing strategies, and that's the back end of the strategy, how it's going to roll out and all that stuff. But content doesn't need to be produced always at the same level that we know traditional marketing and advertising has been done.
Absolutely. Folks, if you're just joining me, I am talking to the fabulous Cher Jones. She is a social media trainer and personal branding coach. I personally think she's the social media queen. And you got to listen back to everything that we just finished talking about. So many takeaways for you guys, whether you are on YouTube, listening to this on a podcast, or you are, reading about it on our blog. This really is for you if you are looking to figure out why social media is so impactful in lives today outside of, the communal, personal element of it, and how it can be incorporated correctly for the right intention. Cher, I want to ask you this.
Mhm.
How can a person look at hiring an expert like yourself? Like, can we, maybe give people some benchmarks on what they should be looking at? Because, when you go and Google or you try and find someone that's a social media expert, literally every other ad is someone saying that they're an expert, but it's very
Mhm.
difficult to know if they're,
Mhm.
because we don't know what to look for. So what
Exactly.
do you feel people need to look for when they're looking for someone like you?
So you want to look at um, if they say they do everything, they're probably not the one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's an agency of people are doing. You want to look for people who have their sweet spots. Like for me, my jam is LinkedIn, the little bit of Instagram, but I focus primarily on that professional digital presence. So that's where I focus. But then you might need someone who's building a Facebook community and needs help with that, or Facebook advertising strategy. That's totally not in my lane, and I slay in my lane, right? But I need
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that I communicate what I do. So I think that you need to get a clear indication of what this person's expertise is, and then figure out does that expertise align with what you need, and then go look for social proof. I can tell you, and it's interesting because it's like, I'm not going to say that, the expert that you'll work with, it's not always because their brand is popping, right? Because yes, they need to put content out, but they're often creating and working with other people, and they can only do so much, right? So they don't need, in fact, when I see too much social media, and I know this is going to be so counter, but when I see someone who's like way too social, and they're always producing content, unless there's evidence of a team. If it's clearly one person, if there's evidence of a team, totally different story. But someone who's too active is like, are you working with any clients?
Right.
Like, I know that sounds
Absolutely.
awful, because you do want to see proof. You do want to see, like, when they do post stuff, it's not necessarily like my stuff does pretty well, but it's like, it's not necessarily about the amount of likes. It's the engagement. It's the quality, and see, like, what people are saying, because there's often, like, I can tell you that even in the comments of stuff that people make on my content, you can see right away that people are saying, this helped me a lot. This
Right.
was great. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's what you want to see. It's not as much about frequency, because I am friends with a lot of my competitive collaborators, right? And a lot of them, they go in active spurts, and I do the same thing. I mean, I have one thing that's consistent with it, which is my show, and that just locked me down, because I commit to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Tuesday night, so I committed to that. But outside of that, it's like, you really want to see, is this person doing what they're saying they're doing? Is there
Mm-hmm.
evidence that they can do it? And then when you have a conversation with them, are they listening to what you're saying and what you need? Because just because something worked for me, I don't think everybody needs to do a live, right? Just because
Right.
that's my form of content, does it mean that, like, because what you'll find is some experts, they're experts at what they do for themselves, and that's it. Right. And that's, for me, that's not good enough, because I need to be able to apply my expertise to your situation. So you
Yes.
need to have a conversation with them. You need to talk to them. You need to see, does this person see my vision? Because I don't work with everybody who calls me. If I don't
Right.
feel like it helped them blow up their brand or help them accomplish what they said they need to accomplish, and it's not necessarily what people would think from a social media perspective of what they want to accomplish. It's not always about 500 likes and this and that and that. Sometimes it's like, I need to make sure that I'm building credibility with this audience. Boom. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to focus on. So you just need to talk to them and
Yeah.
look for the proof, and make sure that they're not the jack of all trades.
Right. Oh my God, I love that. And that's the important thing here is, and I'm a real fan of mentorship,
Mm-hmm.
coaching,
Mm-hmm.
consulting, therapy, all of it. Because I do believe that, we are holistic human beings. So why are we only feeding one element of who we are, right? And that kind of, adapts very well to what you just finished saying is, hone in on what it is that you're looking to solve and find the expert that can help you get there. And if you don't know what that is, then maybe you need the expert that's going to help you unpack that so that you can come to your truth, right?
Absolutely. And you need to consume some of their content, see if it resonates with you, and then go from there. And that is so helpful because, and then the other thing is funny. You mentioned that just the value of coaching. You need to ask that potential coach, do you have a coach? Do you work with somebody? And not necessarily on the thing that they're doing, but do you have a coach? Because you need to see if that person values coaching. If the last time they had a coach was 3 years ago, they don't value coaching.
Says everything, doesn't it? And it's great that you're saying that because I laugh about this all the time with people, when I have my new client conversations, and and they say, well, but you know everything. You're this, you're that, and I say, sweetheart, I have a coach for every aspect of my existence. And I'm not even lying. They may not be called coaches. They could be mentors, coaches, consultants, therapists. My nail person, like they are all people that are experts in something that bring value to my life. This is what I'm talking about because, I really believe in holistic leadership. I believe in living a holistic life. And in order to do that, you need an army of people around you to help you understand what that needs to be for you. And that's the thing about staying in your lane. And my social media queen here, she has a lane, guys. And you've just spent an hour with her and kind of really understanding and unpacking some of these things that we don't really realize in terms of how powerful social media is. I mean, not most of everything that we spoke about in this hour today, folks, has not even talked about spending a dime. Think about that for a second, right? People think, oh my God, I need these massive budgets. I can't compete out there, but you don't. I mean, a lot of these brands that have grown they've done it organically, but they've gotten expertise around it. That's the other thing that needs to be understood. So let me ask you this, Cher. If somebody, before we go there, final thoughts on anything that you feel you want to kind of wrap up on in this conversation that you'd like to share with everyone?
Yeah, I would say definitely with your presence, take the time to be strategic. Take the time to figure out what it is you want to accomplish by being social. Because when you can quantify that accomplishment, when you can vision what this can help you do, all of a sudden it becomes, you can then justify the time because this definitely takes time and effort. And that strategy, drawing up that strategy, and working on your positioning so that it helps you get what you want is key. So take that time, be strategic, know what you want. And you don't have to know what you want 10 years from now. Just know what you want in the next year. What do you want to accomplish? Because you will pivot, you will bob, you will weave. No one saw 2020 coming.
No.
the plans I had for 2020, says everyone, right?
Absolutely.
And so project a year out, especially right now, as we have this opportunity to determine our next normal, right? We have this wonderful opportunity to do that. We can look, we can inference in what's happening and what's going on, and also looking at your industry to where it's going, because you can position yourself based off of the next normal, where you think things, just like as we look at hybrid everything, hybrid digital, real life or physical life sort of thing, that's what it is. So how can you start positioning yourself that it makes sense that you're part of whatever's coming up next, right? So
absolutely
strategic.
And what you just said there in terms of adapting and figuring out what your new normal needs to be for businesses that don't understand how to do that, because now you're bringing another question to my mind. For businesses that don't know how to do that, based on this pandemic and the fact that all of a sudden everybody has got to pivot online.
Mhm.
What are maybe one or two things that people that aren't familiar with being online but need to kind of source consumer base online, what are one or two things that you can say to them from a social media organic perspective? What are your thoughts? I mean, personally, I feel they need to call you, but but other than that, what are a couple of things that you feel they need to do right off the bat?
Okay. So really it goes back to knowing their customer and who their customer is, and looking at the network where you can best communicate with them. Where are they hanging out where they want to hear your message, right?
Mhm.
So knowing that off the bat is probably the most important, because you don't have time, especially if you're brand new jumping in, or just trying to, like, you've had all these social media accounts at least in your name, so you got them, but you're not really being social. Pick one. Pick the best one, because quite frankly, your customers are everywhere. It's just, where are they willing to listen to your message and consume it in the right mindset? So that is where you need to be. And that might be some adoption and adaption for you as well, because you might be like, that might not be your natural space, but you can't say build it and they will come. No, you got to go to them and then build it. Right? You got to be where the conversation's already happening, and then join the conversation. And then talk to your customers, your whatever customers you have access to, talk to them. What's struggling with them right now? Because that also helps you prepare for that next normal. Is, what are they dealing with now? What are they afraid about? What are they afraid of? What's in their way? What do they need to know? Because now you need to position your content and hopefully your products based off of what they're telling you. And that will help you position your products, everything based off of that. So that's what I would say people need to do. And so it's so basic. It's like basic marketing, but that's what matters. Forget, like, you're not even ready for primetime social yet. You need to do those two steps first.
Oh my God, I love that you said that. Primetime social. Spoken like a true broadcast journalist. So my final question for you is this, Cher. Can a business succeed without social media strategy?
Yes, but very few. There are some people who are. There are some people who don't need it. They literally, and it's very rare. It's very rare. But I would be ignorant to say, no, you can't. I think that you're shooting yourself in the foot. I think that relying on your book of business that you may have had could be a tragic ending to your business. But I have seen some businesses who just aren't social. But I would never recommend it. I'm just saying it is possible. But
Right.
it's not my recommendation. You got to go. You got to talk to your customer. You got to be in front of your customer. Isn't that what business is?
Yes.
Is being in front of your customers, having conversations with your customers, figuring out what they want, letting them know that you do it or have it, and then leading them down the path to buying it and serving them.
So finally, Cher, how can people get a hold of you in case they want to find out more about what you do, and if what you do is something that they could add to what they're trying to accomplish with their lives?
Absolutely. So I would love for them, first and foremost, as I talked about earlier in the show, is to get connected with me on LinkedIn. Just look me up. I would love to connect with you there first. I'm also on all the other social platforms under It's Cher Jones. So ITS Cher Jones. And of course, my website is sociallyactivetraining.com.
And do you have an email? Let's throw it out there.
Oh, why not? Cher@sociallyactive.ca.
Cher, you are the absolute sweetest. You are so giving. And, I just really look forward to the opportunity to be able to chat with you again. I look forward to the opportunity to work with you and to inspire with you. And I really, I really do hope, and I encourage anyone out there that's looking to figure out their social media game, you got to go check out Cher's show. It's on 8 p.m. Let's talk about that again. Let's let people know how they can check out your show live and ask you questions live.
Absolutely. In fact, the hashtag for the show is #JustAskShare. And it is a weekly live series on LinkedIn, on Twitter. It's streamed to all the major platforms. So LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So you can watch there. All the recordings are on YouTube as well. But the action as far as the comments and the community in the comments, that's on LinkedIn. That's where like all the action is. But it's every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's a great way to learn. Just like I've talked, I don't hold back. It's just not in my nature to do that. So I constantly, every week, I'm teaching something new, and I have different things that I share. So every week I share a new app that I create with or use. I also break down content. So I call them scroll stoppers, and I talk about what made me stop my thumb from scrolling, and I break down so that you can use that idea and transform it into your own content. So, and then of course, like I said, I teach a lesson as well every single week.
Wow. Talk about value. And that's the thing that I would like to leave everyone with my conversation with you, Cher, is that look for a coach, a consultant, an expert, someone you want to work with that actually doesn't hold back, that actually is truly in the game to help you better your existence, your life, whether it be in your personal arena, your spiritual arena, your physical arena, your business arena, whatever it may be. You know, to me, that is the crux of the criteria that I personally look for. And I have been using experts for 2 decades of my life, Cher. So I want to leave people with that nugget of wisdom, is that if you feel that the person that you're looking for is a very giving person in terms of who they are, chances are that they're going to be the right person for you, because their DNA already is to want to make sure that they're able to do their job for you. Right?
100%, 100%. And this was just something, I'll just leave this little tidbit of information that was really helpful for me when I was first starting my business, is like, and it was about fighting imposter syndrome. If you commit to making sure your client has the best experience, you can put something out there and know that you can amend along the way and make sure that they get what you believe they expected. And then as you continue to do that, eventually you'll lock into your sweet spot and you'll figure everything out. But just if you commit to that client experience, you will never go hungry. And what's for you is for you. And I know that my steps are ordered. So I'm here to serve.
Amen, sister. Thank you so much. Thank you for honoring me and our audience with all of your wealth of wisdom. And please, guys, go check out Cher's show, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on LinkedIn on Tuesdays, and hit her up if you're looking to figure out your social media muscle, because she's the gal. Thank you so much, Cher. I really appreciate your time. And please come back on. Let's talk some more.
I'm so ready. You say the time, I'm there.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for staying till the end, guys. You know that I really hope that you enjoyed the show and that you'll really use these tips and insights from experience from these great experts that we bring to the table, so that you too can really level things up in your professional life, which in turn will really change things when it comes to your personal life. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing is creating a holistic experience for your life. If any of you doubted the power of leveraging social media strategy in business, I really hope that this 2-part series has been able to swing you over to our side. Even if it's not your thing for personal use, it definitely needs to be a serious consideration for your business goals. And if you don't know where to start, why don't you just contact Cher, or me for that matter, and we will definitely love to steer you in the right direction. And if it's not something that we can help you with, we will definitely find someone that may be the right fit for you. So please do contact us. If you found the show helpful, I'm so glad. I would love your support by subscribing to this podcast on your Apple and Android platforms. Search the Transform Your Confidence Show, or our YouTube channel at the Open Chess Confidence Academy. And if you're an avid reader like I am, we're also transcribing every podcast into a blog, which you can access at the openchessconfidenceacademy.com/media/our media. And also, please hop over to our private Facebook group at Transform Your Confidence, where there are networking opportunities as well as knowledge and resources about mindset, media, communications, branding, marketing, leadership, and advocacy for busy executives and entrepreneurs who are seeking to elevate the quality of their life. You know, you got to be there. I always pop in and say hello and, just bring questions to the table that are questions that are reoccurring with the clients that I work with. And I really want you to garner that expertise and some case studies that we share now and again. And some case studies that bring alight a lot of these, valuable tips. As always, thank you for tuning in, guys. Until next episode, take care of yourself.